Today I'm speaking on the evolution of the chimpanzee and the applications of this evolutionary line, and this is by me, Tomisin Adesina. The chimpanzee is known to be extremely similar to humans, as they're shown with similar traits like being able to walk on 2 feet and also having opposable thumbs like us human beings. They also share 96% of our DNA. With them also showing intelligence more than any other animal, they have been shown by communicating with using their body language, facial structure, and they also are able to do some activities like chess. This is their taxonomic classification of the chimpanzee. So the common name is the chimpanzee or chimp. Scientific name is Pan troglodytes. Kingdom is Animalia. Phylum is Chordata. Class is Mammalia. Order is Primates. Family is Hominidae. Genus is Pan, and the genus species, again, is basically the scientific name, which is Pan troglodytes. Noteworthy information is the suborder and the infraorder, which is above the family but under the order, and the suborder is Haplorhini, and infraorder is Simiformes. So the diet's habitat structure and personality is basically the characteristics of the chimpanzee. So their diet is basically they're omnivores. They feed on fruits, leaves, stems, meat, insects, bark, but on their diet, 60% is fruits, 30% is other vegetation, while 10% is animal matter, so meat. Their habitats they live in is tropical forests, rainforests, wet savannas, and swamps. But the structure is similar to us human beings, but they have long arms with opposable thumbs. Hair color is brown to black. Adults are similar to size to adolescent human beings, so comparable to adolescent human beings. And their personality is what is shown to have the intelligence as they younger chimps learn to create tools from objects in their environment by watching other like older chimps do it. So they use sticks to attract termites to eat or they crumple leaves to soak up water to drink. But as I said before, they're very social and they're able to communicate by using body language. And this is all the expressions of chimpanzees that have been shown and comparable to human beings. So this is the chimpanzee evolutionary timeline. As chimpanzees are shown to be here, their last common ancestor with humans is circled right here, and this is the branches of all the ancestors and all of its timeline basically here back to the common last common primate, which should be right here. This is another timeline. And notable ancestors from the chimpanzee's evolutionary timeline. So one is the Agiptopithecus, two is proconsuls, three is Smilodectus gracilis, four is Eosimias, and five is Placidiomorphs. So Placidiomorphs are 65 million years ago, and Smilodex is 55, while Eosimias is 45 million years ago, while Agiptopithecus is 30 million years ago, while Proconsul is 23 to 25 million years ago, and chimpanzee is the current day. But this is all based off of fossil records and what they could get on the records of all these ancestors. So right here is the Eosimias, which this is the Egyptopithecus, while this is the Proconsul, while this is the Placidiomorphs, and this is the Smilodex. And this is basically like the branch again in more of an image sense, as it shows to be earliest common ancestor, splitting off and forming primates, early monkeys, apes, lemurs, all old world monkeys, all those types. So now I'll be talking about the taxonomy of the ancestors of the chimpanzee, and one is the proconsul, and the kingdom is Animalia, and the phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, order is Primates, suborder is Haplorhini, infraorder Simiformes, family is Proconsulidae, subfamily is Proconsulidae, and genus is Proconsul. Egyptopithecus, the kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, Order is primates. Suborder is Haplorhini. Superfamily is the Propiliopithecidae. Family is basically what I said before. Genus is Agitopithecus, and the species that they have found recently is A. zecus. And Eosimius, the kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, order is Primates, family is Eosimidae, genus is Eosimias. No species have been found currently. Smilodectus gracilis, taxonomy is kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, order is Primates, suborder is Strepsirrhini, family is Northocetidae, and genus is Smilodectus, and the species they have found is Smilodectus gracilis. Placidiomorphs' kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, order is Morpha, order is Placidiiformes, and now I'll be talking about the homologous structures and the analogous structures. So the Egyptopithecus and the proconsul, I'll be talking about them. The Egyptopithecus, meaning Egyptian monkey from Greek, is one of the early fossil from the Catherine time timeline of the ancestors that predates the divergence from hominoids, basically the apes and humans, and the Saccharomyces, which is the old world monkeys. And it is known from a single species, Athopithecus zucus, which is what I said before in the taxonomy, which lived around 30 million years ago in the early part of the epoch. So it resembles modern day monkeys, and to the left is the Egyptopithecus, the skull of it, and is the same size as a modern howler monkey, which is about 56 to 92 centimeters long. The and basically the structure is similar to chimpanzees as they still have the same orbits, which is basically the eye socket, which is good to see, and the size is basically the same as like chimpanzees a bit smaller, and basically they're living in like separate times as the Egyptopithecus was more Egyptian and where the desert was mainly like a forest back then before nature changed that. And then the proconsul is an extinct genus of primates that existed from 23 to 25 million years ago during the Miocene epoch, and fossil remains were present in eastern Africa, Kenya, and Uganda. Uh, they basically have like clingy hands, as in like they're similar to chimpanzees with being able to climb and stick or hold grasp the trees properly, and they have no tail, and the sockets is mostly the same, and the structure is a bit taller, as the proconsul was one of the bigger primates. And now I'll be talking about the Smilodectus gracilis and the Eosimius. So the the Smilodectus is basically the genus of the adapiform primate that lived in North America during the Middle Eocene, and it presents a post-orbital bar and grasping thumbs and toes. As you can see, it's comparable to the proconsul, as it's able to grasp a tree properly. And this one, though, has a tail. Compared to the proconsul, it does not have a tail. That does not have a tail, as the proconsul is more early, so the proconsul lost its tail in the evolution, while the Smilodectus, which is the older one, had a tail in the begin with, and it's comparable to the chimpanzee as it's shown to have huge eyes, and it's also shown to have grasping hands and toes, as I said before. And Eosimius is also similar, as they have grasping hands and they have grasping toes, but this time they have a tail. But Eosimius were classified as smaller, as they could fit in one species could fit on one human being's hand. So that meaning it was smaller than the chimpanzee, which is larger today, which could be due to uh, surviving factors and having to grow to get better food and to survive more. And plasidiomorphs are here pictured here. There's no active like form of the fossil, as it's one of the oldest, or if not, it's the oldest primate that's they found so far. And it's an extinct order of mammals, and they are closely related to primates. Well, assumedly closely related, but they're assumed to also be the precursor to them. And they said the placidiomorphs have teeth that are strongly indicative of the common ancestor, as placidiomorphs have strong teeth so that they could grasp onto their prey. Chimpanzees also have strong teeth as they're able to grasp and eat uh, and chew like the meat and eat leaves. So even though the placidiomorphs were more of the meat eater side and insect eating side, it's shown to be that as time went on, the chimpanzee line grew to eat more vegetation, maybe due to survival or lack of meat. I'll be talking about the adaptation and variation. So chimpanzees, like I've stated before, they have a small cranium and brain. They have a protruding brow and sloping face. They have a broad, flat nose, large jaws and teeth, like the placidiomorphs, like I said before. They also have a simple curved spine, long arms, long pelvis, short legs, and they also knuckle walk. But they're shown to be able to walk on their 2 feet for a short period of time. And this other picture also shows that they are able to grasp properly, and they have curved fingers that which is used for grasping properly. And like I said before in my previous slides, they're shown to be similar to placidiomorphs, as placidiomorphs have large teeth that is used for eating, and they also have the spine like the Smilodectus gracilis and the Eosimius, and they also have it like the Glyptopithecus and proconsul, large sockets, teeth, and grasping hands and toes. But unlike the rest of its older generation of ancestors, it does not have a tail, as it lost its tail due to the process of evolution. And now I'll be talking about the biogeography. The biogeography of the chimpanzee is basically spread out most likely, as they've been finding different animals in different places, different ancestors in different places. As one of the first primates to be found, what it was in Europe and in America at the same time, and most of it was based around the forest or what used to be forest. Like also the desert was where they found the Egyptopithecus, but the desert is now not suitable for primates to be living, and that is because Egyptopithecus lived in a time where the desert was a rainforest and rained every day there, and also the fact that the proconsul was found in western Kenya, where there was a forest and it's now a sub-Saharan desert. It was also named proconsul because it means before consul, which is the famous captive chimp in London, as also the proconsul was later more was later more found as more fossils were digged up, and they were found in fragments, splits, and it was basically a real time period, as they were finding them in 1931, 1909, as fragments were found around Kenya, around deserts. So like I said before, monkeys and the primates and chimpanzees were in Africa most of the time, and Eurasia, back when Asia and Europe it was named Eurasia together as a continent, because of the fact that sub-Saharan deserts were forests back then, like 34, 35 million years ago, while now it's just deserts. So now monkeys or chimpanzees are more in rainforests, is like Brazil, or they're more in captive in zoos, or they're more in forests in general. And some are in swamps, but those are some that live in harsh environments. As also placidiomorphs were found to be in Europe, and they were found to be like very old, as there was not much found. There wasn't like a whole body or anything. It was just found in fragments, and they found the skull, like I've shown earlier in earlier slides. If you go back, is that most of the things they found or based off their information was just the fact that it if they were to rebuild it with the fragments, it was shown to be like the precursor of primates, as it was shown to have a long spine like the Smilodecks, had sharp teeth like the Placidiomorphs, and was also like the Placidiomorphs, which is what I said now, and also was the fact that it had a tail, it had the large orbital sockets, which are basically the eyes, and yes, and the height of it was similar to all other primates, so that's what they assume to be the precursor or similar, but it's most likely the precursor. And now I'll be talking about the fossil records. For the Gigantopithecus and the proconsul, like I've said before, the fossil records of the Gigantopithecus was found in Egypt, and the fossil records was discovered by Elwin Simmons in 1965, and it was found in the central of Egypt. And the Egyptopithecus zuecus fossils were originally thought to be about 35.4 to 33 million years old based on initial analysis, but the later it was revised, and it was now between 30.2 to 29.5 million years ago, as based on my timeline. The proconsul, however, was the partial jaw was discovered in 1909 by a gold prospector at Koru, which is basically in western Kenya, and also it was one of the first fossil mammals to be found in the sub-Saharan Africa, basically around that time, and it was later more discovered as more fossils and fragments were found in lumps, and they were able to reform it and create like a reformation of the structure of the animal of the proconsul, and this is it here in this picture. The Smilodecks was found in Wyoming, which is North America. It possessed large orbitals and grasping thumbs and toes, which is why they fit it as more of the precursor to the chimpanzee line and the primates line, as it was found in North America, and it was found by the rainforest, which is why I said the habitats of these species were mostly in rainforests, as they were able to eat more insects and meat. So evolution really didn't change there, as the importance of them was that they found a habitat to be secure in. Even though now chimpanzees are more endangered, it has shown that the evolution of the chimpanzee up until now is shown that the habitats have been living in the rainforest and have been living in situations where it's only forests and swamps or wet places that they're able to live in trees, and they're able to hunt for food. While the Eosimius was also found in China, which is why I said Eurasia in the beginning of this section, as they believe it to be lived 45 million years ago before present due to fossils that they've been guessing on, and they were able to also reconstruct the bones into this picture right here, as they were said that the bones were very small, and the reconstruction of the animal, that they believed that the animal would be only as big as a human hand, as seen in that picture to my right, and they're very similar to chimpanzees, even though they're small. It's shown that Eosimias were the early part of evolution. So basically, the evolution line basically took them to be larger or made to be larger, as probably why they went extinct is uh because of destruction of habitat, or because of being prey and e getting and getting preyed on was too much for them. It was later found out that they found more fossils based on the Eosimias, and one of them was the Eosimias sinaiticus, and the other one is Eosimias dawnsona. And basically, why it was named Dawn was because it was kind of called the monkey of dawn. And there's more unidentified fossils that have been found in 1999, but they haven't really been able to piece it together with other fossils, as it's shown to be another species of Eosimius. While the placidiomorphs is basically they were found in the Eocene, they were found to be more around North America and Europe, and they were spread apart as most of them were lemur-like and most of them were more monkey-like in those two different continents. As basically in Europe and North America, it's determined that they were evolved differently and they were structured differently. As they have fossil fragments here, they are shown to be similar and like to chimpanzees, but in this case they were more bigger as they had tails, they had jaws like the chimpanzee, they had the long spine or the curved spine, and they also had fingers that were curved like all the chimpanzees evolution line. And that is basically what they had, as they had the jaws and sharp teeth like in this picture here. And this was basically similar to chimpanzees, and why it's important is because of the fact that the placidiomorphs were basically the ancestors, and the fact that they were all able to take on the trait of having sharp teeth, having curved fingers, and having a long spine. It was shown that it was very strong in their traits that was passed on, that a good survival fact of it was a good survival fact of staying alive and keeping it in the generation. So the fact that it's still in the generation here today in chimpanzees shows that it's been working on, and it's been causing non-evolutions to happen, like non like traits that tra- traits as in that any good trait is getting passed on and all the bad traits is going down. So the fact that their chimpanzees are now smaller shows that the trait of being bigger was very bad. So the fact that the chimpanzees are now smaller means that they evolved to being smaller because of the fact they needed to survive more, needed to pass on the genes more, and that's why the placendomorph structure is important, and fossil records is important to why the chimpanzees are what they are now today. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope you're able to get what I meant by the importance of all these ancestors and the traits and genes of them compared to the chimpanzee we now know today, which is now small, have curved feet or have curved foot, yes, and digits or hand digits that they're able to grasp the cheese properly. So I hope you get the importance of why the evolution was necessary for the chimpanzee.